Let me say this real quick. Um, to some of you all, this may be like a shocker. These recent videos I've been talking about Charlotte, and in somewhat of a negative way. And I want to say this, yeah, true indeed, I live here, and I've done videos on Charlotte, and most of them have been positive. No one, no city, no state, no country, nothing is exempt from critiquing. I'm going to talk about the good and the bad to whatever subject or topic that I'm talking about. That plain and simple. So don't really take this wrong when I start talking about, when I start talking so-called bad of Charlotte. There are some things that I don't like about the city. There's a lot of things that I do like about the city. The things that I like about the city I've mentioned, but I haven't really dove in to the things that I don't like about the city. One of the things that I don't like about the city is self-identity. It's not even Charlotte's problem. It's Raleigh's problem. And I'm naming cities in the state of North Carolina, for those that don't know. It's Durham's problem. Well, not really. What's crazy is Durham does have an identity, but the identity that it has is negative. Durham is known for gangs and just being overall a rough and tough city to live in. Right? But prior to that, they did have the hair tie area in Black Wall Street. They were known for that. But now it's just a rough, tough, horrible city to live in. And for those that may say, well, Langston, how do you know? You haven't lived there in years. I just got off the phone with my mother, and she told me this. And my mother still lives in Durham. Everybody knows that Durham is really rough, especially now. I mean, there have been so many, murders and gang-related murders, and I don't even want to get into it. But for the sake of this conversation, Durham has an identity. It's just negative. Raleigh is basically known as the capital city, but that's about it. I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say the overall state of North Carolina has no identity. Now, I know what you're gonna say. You understand? I'm not talking about far as identity on a level of employment. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, North Carolina is known for specific cities in North Carolina, and the state of North Carolina is known for, specific things. Like you have the Raleigh-Durham area, they have the Research Triangle Park. You understand? And there's a lot of tech and pharmaceutical companies that's there. Durham is known is the city of medicine. They have Duke University, Duke Hospital. Charlotte is known as a banking city. You have the two largest banks here established here, headquarters here in Charlotte, which is Wells Fargo and Bank of America. I'm not talking about like that. You understand? I'm talking about more of a cultural aspect, like the very fiber of these cities. What is it known for? You understand? Like, I give you an example. If you look at New York, you don't automatically think that, you know what I'm saying? But it comes to mind at Times Square, plays, such as Cats. You see what I'm saying? The Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty. You see what I'm saying? Where is North Carolina's, in specific Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham's identity? What are we known for is the question. Now, like I said, I'm talking about culture, like I'm not talking about basketball. I'm not talking about UNC Tar Heels. It's not what I'm talking about culture, culture-wise, what are we known for? What do we produce? What have we produced? You understand where I'm coming from? When you look at Atlanta, you think about Dr. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement. What is North Carolina known for culturally? In specific, the city of Charlotte. I'll wait. And I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being real. For all those that are Charlotteans and were born and raised here, please let me know. Maybe I'm missing something. But from what I see, Charlotte is suffering from an identity crisis. Now, I know that there used to be Brooklyn. There was a black area called Brooklyn. You understand? There was an area that now is Midtown called Cherry. You know, I understand the black communities, and there was, you know, black people with, you know, like independent, and but that was everywhere. What are you all known for is the question. I understand how Charlotte got here. For those that don't know, and for those that don't bother to do any research, that just moved down here, or that live here, or that were born and raised here and just don't really give a damn about Charlotte's progress and how it got to be the city that it is. There was a gold rush in the late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, and everybody migrated. Not everybody, but there were quite a few people that migrated here because they thought that there was a surplus of gold. And then eventually, you know, they migrated, and eventually, you know, they wind up staying. And then there was some Indians around this. Like, Indian land actually was the land of the Indians. So there's some history on that. You understand? But I'm talking about, like, where's the culture at? When you think about Atlanta, you say Black Hollywood. And another thing too, I know what some of you all may say too, like, well, what are you talking about? You thinking that are you talking about some black stuff and blah 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 blah? There's two different worlds, right? Everybody always wants to say that we are the same, but we are definitely different, and different is good. You understand? I can learn from your culture, you can learn from mine, right? Everybody doesn't have to be the same. In other words, what I'm saying, there's a difference in white culture and black culture. It really is. I can give you a prime example. When I talk to people about Atlanta, most of the time I'm talking to them about, you know, like it being a Black Hollywood and how they could go down there, and, you know, it's open to, you see what I'm saying? Like, you have people there, not A&R, so to speak, because that's kind of dead now, you know what I'm saying? Now, well, in other words, you all are making it easier for A&Rs to find talent or scout for talent because, you know, you put your shit online. And they just go through the YouTubes, the different social networks, and they find out their talent there. They don't necessarily have to travel to a state. But if they were to travel to a state, I mean, Atlanta is a hot pan right now for talent. You know, regardless of whether you're looking for talent far as singing, rapping, acting, etc. You understand? So most of the time when I'm talking to black or rather minorities about Atlanta, that's what I'm talking. That's how I'm vibing with them. They not really like all the strip clubs. That's kind of like where the culture is as far as dealing with Atlanta. I understand that we're living in two different worlds, and white people go down there for other reasons. You understand? Mainly, you know, for jobs. You know, so we're living in two different worlds. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's the reason why I'm saying what's the identity that Charlotte has. I know in the white world, so to speak, that they may have an identity. You understand? A culture. The culture may be the Charlotte 49ers, you know, as far as dealing with UNC Charlotte, and because that's what really, like, in the white world, that's the first thing that people generally think about is, you know, the Carolina Panthers and the Charlotte Hornets. But that's not what minorities, that's not how minorities think. That's a given. If you got a professional football, professional basketball team in your city, that's a given. We're talking about culture-wise. What does Charlotte have? What do we have to you know, like as an identity. And it's, in my opinion, to my knowledge, is we're suffering from one. One reason why is because I read up on this article, and they said that it's 100 people moving to this city per day. 100 people moving to the city of Charlotte per day. So when we try to like kind of have somewhat of a culture, there's 100 plus people moving here per day that's kind of fucking it up because they're bringing in their own shit. So let's say, for example, like at one point in time, I thought this was going to turn in somewhat of a entertainment type city like Atlanta was, right? You know, far as like, you know, finding talent music wise, you know what I'm saying? Like it was going to be a hub for, you know, artists, you know, rappers, singers, actors, etc., right? Because what they were trying to do, what they were going to do is Eastland Mall was, you know, they bulldozed that down. And the city of Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, the city of Charlotte was going to buy that area, and they was going to turn it into like not the city of Charlotte, but somebody was going to buy that land and turn it into like kind of like a whole campus where it was studios and all types of everything for, you know, artists. And then that shit just went left field. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy when you get down here, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Like Charlotte is not really known for anything in specific. Neither is Raleigh, neither is Durham, neither is Greensboro. You know what I'm saying? It's North Carolina, period, is just really like not known for anything like culturally. It really isn't. You know, and I think that that's a problem. I think if we were known for something, like, I think that behind culture, minorities, like, I may be going out on a limb to say this, but I think that behind almost every culture, minorities are there. You know what I'm saying? I think that minorities kind of dictate and, you know what I'm saying, maneuver culture. And I don't know, like, I really do think that, like, when people come here in North Carolina, the reason why there's no identity in the state of North Carolina and then these cities is, for one, these old conservative Republicans. We need to get them out of the seat, out of the office. We need to re-elect liberal, open-minded, I'm not going to say neither party, independent. We need to fund the schools. You understand? We need to bring back programs if we never had them. We need to, if we didn't have them, we need to get programs and start putting instruments back inside the schools. Start having after school programs. You know, these classes that you know, such as art, you know, it needs to be mandatory in school, but it's not just artistry as far as drawing, but singing and dancing, and you see what I'm saying? Like, we need to put more in each and every city. We need to put more effort into the culture, to whatever is going on culturally inside that city that we can see. We need to put our efforts into that, so each city could be known for something. And then, as a collective, you know, far as dealing with the cities, we'll look more appealing. More people will migrate here because they'll say, well, I'm coming for this reason or that reason and blah, 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 blah. But as of now, the only reason why people come here in the state of North Carolina to live in places like Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, I hear it all the time, is it's cheaper than where I'm living at. That housing market is great. the jobs, the school system is better. You know, what else? It's a place where I could raise my children. That's it. And to be known for that is a good thing. But then, to just, when you think about culturally, you know, each city and overall a state, it's like, I don't know. Because these cities and this one state called North Carolina really doesn't have one. It just doesn't. You know what I'm saying? We don't big up the mountains enough. Like, you know, Asheville, we don't really like big them up enough. You know, I've never been into the mountains like skiing and stuff like that. But I think if the resorts were like remarkable, you would hear a lot about it. Or maybe that's just like not a minority thing. So minorities don't oftentimes talk about that. Maybe that's just like in, you know, Caucasian culture or whatever have you. I don't know. I just know, like, out of all the years that I've lived in Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Greensboro, and just overall the state of North Carolina, I've never been able to put my hand on, you know, one of these cities having some type of culture. I just don't. And when I lived in New York, the last time I lived in New York, well, I stayed in New York. I've lived in New York a couple of times. And every time I've moved back to North Carolina, it wasn't because of culture. It was because of the same shit that everybody else is moving to North Carolina for. It's easy living. It's not as hard and difficult as it is in New York. Like in New York, in order for me to live by myself, I would have to work 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs. You know what I'm saying? In North Carolina, you know, at one point in time, now it's getting a little too hectic. You know what I'm saying? But at one point in time, if you had a good temporary job, because temporary jobs were a thing back in the days. I don't know if they are now. You see what I'm saying? Because I haven't worked in a long time for someone, right? For a temporary job, temporary service overall. But at one point in time, it was a big thing. And as long as you got a good, decent paying temporary job and you worked your ass off, after the 6 months, they would permanently hire you. And man, shit, you work a job, you work in Research Triangle Park on the assembly line for IBM, you would get paid decent. Some decent money with benefits. Man, shit, you could live off of your one paycheck. I mean, you're not gonna have the greatest. You'll be living in a nice apartment, you know, in a nice area, and you'll be possibly driving an older version, an older Acura Legend. Or if you wanted something new, you would have to get like a Dodge Neon, you know what I'm saying, or a Chevy Sprint or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Them small, real small cars, but you could survive. Not in New York. You understand? But that's the reason why I moved back each time, because it was just way more easy living. And it still is. You know what I'm saying? But I do think we need to have some type of identity, man. For real. You know what I'm saying? You could say the NODA area, but NODA's not big enough. You know, the area's not big enough. I don't know, man. I'm like, please, in the comment section, please tell me. Maybe I'm just, you know, stupid to the shit. I don't know. I just know that from all these years, and me, Joe Sig and I have talked about this all the time. We talk about this all the time. You understand? And I've always came to the conclusion, and he's born and raised here. My conclusion is we're suffering from, Charlotte that is suffering from an identity crisis. You know, coming from him, Joe Sig, he'll say that the culture that we have is just a multicultural, meaning that it's just a little bit of everything because so many people are from here. I'm sorry, from other places. other than the city of Charlotte. I get what he's saying, but in my opinion, I still think that we're suffering from an identity crisis. It makes more sense to me that way. You know what I'm saying? Not what he's saying, because I kind of agree with what he's saying, but that's still not stating that we have an identity, because of the fact that we just take a little bit from in order to take a little bit for everyone, you have to come together, take all that what you took, and come together and create that identity. Charlotte hasn't done that yet. You see what I'm saying? But I'll leave it up to you all in the comment section. Other than that, man, I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share this video. Peace.